Explosions lit the ground, shaking the planet like thunder from the heavens. Zarkith's ships rained fire upon cities, forests, and even refugee camps. The once beautiful home of the Tarian people was now a battlefield of ash and smoke. Deep inside, a collapsing palace made of crystal and bone, the alien Queen Varela lay wounded, her breath shallow. Her silver exhaust skin had cracked in several places, leaking golden fluid. Despite the pain, her glowing green eyes still searched the shadows. She was not looking for escape. She was looking for hope outside. The alien defenders were falling. The Zarkith Dominion, brutal empire of machines and merciless warriors, was closing in. The queen knew this would be her end. She had sent her guards away with the last survivors. Only one person remained in the burning throne, Hall, a human soldier. He stood at the entrance, holding a plasma rifle, breathing hard. His armor was scratched, his left arm burned, but his eyes were clear and full of determination. His name was Sergeant Elias Cross, and he had no reason to be here. But he had stayed. "You need to leave now," the queen said weakly. Her voice echoed in his mind through soft, telepathic pulses. Elias shook his head. "I'm not leaving without her. Where's the girl?" Queen Varela's hand reached toward a panel on the wall. She pressed it, and a secret door opened behind the throne. Inside, a small alien girl stepped out. She was barely 3 feet tall, with delicate wings folded on her back and bright blue eyes filled with fear. Her name was Zelari, Princess of Teria, the queen's only daughter. "She doesn't trust you," the queen said quietly. "I don't blame her," Elias replied. "But if she wants to live, she'll have to come with me." A rumble shook the palace. Parts of the ceiling cracked and fell. Fire began to creep down the hallways. Zarkith's soldiers were getting closer soon. The whole place would be lost. Queen Varela pulled her daughter close and held her tightly. She knew what must be done, but her heart broke. "I will never see her again," she whispered. Elias took a step forward. "That's not true." The queen looked up at him with tired eyes. "You don't understand. The Zarkith will not stop. You'll be hunted. Keeping her safe will cost you everything." "I don't care," Elias said. "You gave us a chance in this war. You trusted humans. Now I'm returning the favor." He kneeled in front of Zelari. The princess stared at him with wide eyes, her antennae twitching nervously. She reached out slowly, placing her small clawed hand on his cheek. Through her touch, she saw his memories, his home, his people, his fear, and his courage. She saw no lies. The girl stepped forward and wrapped her arms around Elias' neck. "She accepts you," Queen Varela said, her voice breaking. Elias nodded and gently picked up the child. "I'll keep her safe," he promised. "I'll bring her back to you one day." The queen gave him a sad smile. "If you do, then Taria will owe humanity more than I ever dreamed." Suddenly, the wall behind them exploded. Zarkith troops stormed in, metal armor clanging, weapons glowing. "Go!" the queen shouted. She stood between them and Elias, her wings spreading in one final act of defiance. Elias didn't hesitate. He turned and ran, clutching Zelari to his chest as he dashed through falling debris. The palace was crumbling. Fire chased them down the halls. The screams of war echoed behind them, down one corridor, through a broken wall. Into the ancient tunnels beneath the palace, Elias ran until his legs burned. He reached a hidden exita, a small hangar where a single human dropship waited. It was damaged, but still alive. "Come on, baby," he muttered, sliding into the pilot seat with Zelari still in his arms. "Don't fail me now." The engines roared to life. Zarkith drones appeared behind them, firing wildly, but Elias pulled the ship upward, dodging between falling towers and enemy beams. The dropship climbed higher and higher until the stars returned above them. Then came the explosion. The palace behind them lit up like a dying sun. Queen Varela was gone. Zelari screamed in his mind. She could feel her mother's pain. The bond between them shattered in that moment, and Elias felt it too, like a knife in his chest. But he kept flying. Hours later, far away in deep space, Elias finally set the ship on autopilot. He looked down at the small alien girl wrapped in a blanket beside him. She had cried herself to sleep, her little body shaking. Elias reached out and gently touched her wing. It twitched, but she didn't wake. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "But I'll keep you safe, I promise." He sat back in the chair watching the stars move past. A new war had begun, not just between empires, but a war of survival, of trust, of hope. And Elias Crosa, single human soldier, was now the guardian of the last. Terry and Erdod, the galaxy didn't know it yet, but everything had changed. In that time, he had become many things: a fugitive, a protector, and the last friend of a fallen alien queen now. He was hiding in a broken freighter ship, drifting near the edge of a lawless asteroid belt. The ship was cold, the lights flickered, and the engines barely worked. But it was quiet, and no one knew they were here. Zelari, the alien princess, sat curled up in a sleeping pod. She had stopped crying, but she still hadn't spoken a word, at least not out loud. Her soft thoughts sometimes entered Elias's mind when she was scared or curious. He didn't understand most of her telepathy, but he felt her feelings: fear, confusion, loneliness. He understood those very well. Elias sat nearby, cleaning his weapon and watching the scanner screen. Red dots flashed every few hours: pirates, bounty hunters, maybe even Zarketh patrols. The enemy was hunting them, and he couldn't afford to sleep for long. "You hungry?" he asked softly. Zelari peeked out from the pod. Her blue eyes blinked. Elias held up a protein bar and half a fruit. "This is all I've got, princess, but it's yours." The alien girl slowly crawled out. She took the food with small, careful claws and sat beside him. After a moment, she looked up at his face. Her voice entered his mind, faint and soft. "Why did you save me?" Elias was surprised. It was the first full thought she had sent him. He took a breath. "Because your mother asked me to. But she is gone." "Yes," he said quietly. "But her promise isn't." Zelari looked down at the fruit, then back up. "Are all humans like you?" He smiled a little. "No, most humans would have run. I probably should have too." He looked at her small, innocent face. "Because someone had to do the right thing." She didn't reply, but she moved a little closer to him. That night, the scanner beeped again. This time, Elias's eyes narrowed. "Frigate. No, IFF code. Heading toward us. Pirates." He grabbed his gear, picked up Zelari, and rushed toward the cockpit. "Hold on," he said as the ship rumbled back to life. The freighter moved clumsily, barely dodging an incoming blast. A second shot rocked the back of the ship, damaging. "The stabilizers." "We can't fight them," Elias muttered. "But maybe we can outthink them." The asteroid field ahead was dense and deadly. Any normal pilot would avoid it. Elias didn't. He flew straight in. The freighter dodged between massive spinning rocks, sharp debris, and broken mining stations. The pirate ship followed, but they weren't as skilled. One wrong turn, and the enemy vessels smashed into an asteroid, exploding in a fiery blaze. Elias let out a long breath. "Still got it." Zelari clung to his arm, eyes wide. "We're okay," he said, gently patting her head. "For now." They finally landed on a trade station called Scrap Point 9, hidden in a neutral system where smugglers and ex-soldiers lived like ghosts. The place smelled of oil, rust, and old fire. Elias kept Zelari close, wrapping her in a blanket and carrying her like a sleeping child. He found an old contact, a mechanic named Biko, a grumpy lizard-like alien who once owed Elias a favor from a mission long ago. "You got guts coming here, Cross," Biko hissed, his eyes flicking toward the child. "They're hunting you. Whole sector's got a price on your head. I need repairs and a way to send a secure message to the Alliance." Biko scratched his chin. "What's the message?" "Maybrella's daughter is alive." Biko froze. "That's big news. It's the truth." "You're crazy, you know that?" Biko said. "You'll get both of you killed." Elias leaned forward. Then help me keep her alive. Biko looked at Zalari, then sighed. Fine, but you owe me big. That. Night, Elias watched as Zalari explored the small metal room Biko had offered them. It wasn't much, just 2 beds, a table. In a dusty window, but it was better than running. Zalari touched the walls, curious. She stared at a broken screen that showed stars passing outside. Then she turned to Elias and sent another soft thought. I miss her. I know, he whispered. I do too. She walked over and climbed into his lap. He was surprised but didn't stop her. She rested her head on his chest, her small body trembling. Will she come back? No, Elias said honestly. But one day, I'll take you back to your people. I'll find them. You promise? I promise. She looked up at him again. You're not like the stories we were told. About humans. What kind of stories? That humans are cruel. That they lie. That they take. He smiled a little. Some do, but not all of us. She placed her hand on his chest again. This time her voice was stronger in his mind. I believe you. 2 days later, Biko returned. With bad news, your message went out, he said. Encrypted, just like you asked. But it stirred up trouble. Now the Zarkith know you're still alive. How? Elias asked. Somebody leaked the signal. Maybe someone in the Alliance. Maybe someone here. Elias cursed under his breath. What now? You need to leave now. Where? Hesitated, then pulled out a datapad. There's a rumor-an old Tarian outpost in the Grellos sector. Long abandoned, but some say survivors went there after the fall. Elias looked at Zalari. She was watching them quietly. Can you get us a ship? He asked. Something small. Fast. But if you go there, you better be ready for a fight, Elias. Nodded. I always am. That night, as the stars stretched once again before them, Elias sat beside Zalari in the cockpit of a new stealth shuttle. She sat quietly, hugging a small cloth doll that Biko had given her. Where are we going? She asked softly. To find your people, Elias replied. To prove the queen didn't die for nothing. Zalari looked up at him. I know. If they're not there, then we keep looking. She leaned her head against his arm. I'm not afraid anymore, she said. Elias smiled. Neither was he. For the first time in a long while, he had hope. The stars around the Grellos sector were cold and silent. No trade routes passed through here. No ships came or left. Long ago, this region was a battlefield. Now it was nothing but floating wrecks and dead stations' ghosts in space. But Sergeant Elias Cross and Princess Zalari had come here chasing a rumor. A signal weak, old but written in Tarian royal code, had reached their ears through a trusted contact. The message was simple. Survivors, safe hold, come. It could be a trap, it could be fake, or it could be hope. Their shuttle small. In quiet, drifted past broken satellites and shattered warships. Zalari sat beside Elias in the co-pilot seat. Her eyes were focused, her little hands gripping the edge of the console. Scared? Elias asked gently. She shook her head. With you? Elias smiled, could but stay alert. Suddenly, a red light flashed on the scanner. Something's out there, Elias muttered. Zalari narrowed her eyes. Not enemy, not yet. From behind a shattered cruiser, a cloaked station slowly appeared. Its camouflage flickered off. Just enough for them to see a landing pad light up. Someone was waiting. Elias kept one hand on his weapon as the shuttle landed. The platform was dusty, half-broken, but still alive. Emergency lights blinked, and the faint hiss of oxygen told him the air was breathable barely. The main door opened with a loud screech. 3 tall figures stepped out. They were Tarians insectoid like Zalari, but older, their armor cracked, and worn from years of hiding. Their eyes glowed with surprise as they saw the small girl step out of the shuttle. One of them dropped to his knees. Princess Zalari. He whispered, Is it really you? Zalari nodded. Her thoughts reached him softly. I am my mother's daughter. Elias watched silently. He didn't speak, didn't move. He just let them have this moment. Then another Tarian stepped forward, female, dressed in robes instead of armor. Wings were small, and she carried a staff with royal markings. I am Sanaa, Varenlast, advisor of the queen, and you are the human who saved her child? I am, Elias said. Sergeant Elias Cross, Alliance Military. Sana studied him closely. Many humans betrayed us during the war. Why did you help her? Elias answered simply. Because her mother asked me to. I gave her my word. Sana nodded slowly. Then your word saved a kingdom. Inside the hidden station, Elias saw what was left of the Tarian people, just over 100 survivors living deep inside the metal walls. They had power, water, and even gardens growing under artificial light. Zalari walked among them, silent but strong. Everywhere she went, people bowed. They whispered her name. She was the last flame of their broken world. Later that night, Elias sat in a quiet room while Sana poured him a hot drink made from glowing herbs. You risked your life for her, she said softly. But now you must decide what comes next. Want to protect her? That's all. She needs more than protection now. She needs to lead. Elias frowned. She's just a kid. She's royalty. Born with the memories of her ancestors. Already her power is growing. Zalari entered the room just then. She looked different, stronger, calmer. Her wings shimmered faintly. I feel her, she said quietly. Who? Elias asked. My mother. Elias sat up straight. What? Do you mean she's alive? Sana froze. That's impossible. I can feel her mind. Distant. Weak. But alive. Elias stood. Where? Zalari closed her eyes. She placed her hand on his chest. Far. Pain. Darkness. But, near the dying star, Sana's eyes widened. There is only one place near a dying star. Zarkith prison world Karnax. 7 Elias clenched his fists. Then that's where we're going. The next day, Elias prepared his weapons and armor again. The Tarian engineers gave him upgrades, silent boots, magnetic armor plates, and a wrist device that could cloak him for short periods. You'll need stealth, Sana said. Karnak 7 is protected by Zarkith patrols and advanced sensors. No one escapes that place. I'm not escaping, Elias replied. I'm breaking in. Zalari stepped forward. I'm going to. No, Elias said quickly. It's too dangerous. But she stood firm. You need me. I can feel her. I can find her. I'm not afraid anymore. Elias looked at Horeli. She was no longer the frightened child he had pulled from the burning palace. She had changed, grown, and maybe she was right. All right, he said, but you stay close. No hero stuff. Let me handle thee. Danger, Zalari nodded. Together. Before they left, Sana gave Elias one last item, a small glowing crystal. This is the Queen's memory stone, she said. If she lives, she'll need this to prove who she is. And if she dies, it must be passed to her daughter. Elias took it and placed it in his armor pocket. I'll bring her back. Sana looked at both of them. May the stars watch over you. The journey to Karnak 7 took 2 days in a stolen Zarkith drone ship. Elias flew low through dead space. Using old codes the Tarians had saved from the war, the ship didn't trigger alarms, but the closer they got, the colder the space around them became. Karnak 7 appeared like a ghost, a giant black station circling a red dying star. The star itself was collapsing, its heat barely holding. Around it, dark clouds of radiation and dead ships floated like bones. Elias docked the drone ship at the lowest point. Far from sensors, he and Zalari suited up. Once we're inside, Elias whispered, you follow my lead. No speaking out. Loud unless it's safe. Got it? Zalari nodded. They entered the airlock. The walls of Karnak 7 were black and humming with low energy. Security drones moved slowly through halls, their red eyes sweeping side to side. Elias activated his cloak and moved like a shadow. Zalari stayed close, blending her own mental energy to hide from machines. Step by step, they made their way into the dark prison. Then they heard it. A voice weak, but powerful. Zalari the princess stopped. Her eyes widened. This way. They moved through narrow pipes and broken maintenance shafts. Elias had to carry her at times, crawling through tight tunnels and deactivated vents. Finally, they reached a deep prison chamber. Behind an energy shield, weak and chained, was Queen Varela. Her body was thinner, her wings broken, but her eyes lit up as she saw them. "Zalari," she breathed. "My daughter, you're alive."
Oh.
Zalari rushed to the edge of the barrier. She placed her hand on it, tears forming. Elias pulled out the memory crystal. "We found the survivors. Your people still live." Varela looked at him. "You kept your promise. I always do." But alarms suddenly blared. The prison had detected them. "Time to go," Elias said, blasting the control panel. The barrier dropped. Varela collapsed into his arms. "I've got you," he whispered. With Zalari leading, they ran through the chaos, dodging guards and drones. Elias fought like a storm, fast, silent, deadly. Zalari shielded her mother with bursts of telepathic force. They made it to the drone ship. The docking door closed just as energy blasts struck the hull. They escaped into the stars, battered, shaken but alive. As the drone ship flew into deep space once again, Queen Varela opened her eyes. She looked at Elias. "You are not just a soldier," she whispered. "You're a Tearia's shield." Elias nodded. "And you," he said, turning to Zalari, "you found her. You saved her." Zalari smiled, and for the first time in many years, Queen and daughter were together again. The stolen drone ship raced through the blackness of space, carrying its precious cargo far from the deadly prison world of Karnak 7. Inside, Queen Varela rested weakly, her strength barely returning after months of captivity. Beside her, Princess Zalhori held her hand tightly. Their reunion still fresh and raw. Sergeant Elias Cross sat in the pilot's seat, eyes sharp and alert. The alarms on the ship's console blinked erratically. Esarkith forces were not far behind. He had only one chance left, a hidden base deep inside a dying star system, known as the Last Fortress. It was a place no one dared enter, rumored to be the strongest Zarkath stronghold in the galaxy, but Elias had no choice. It was their only hope for safety. The ship slid into the system's orbit. The star was a fiery giant, burning hot and unstable, surrounded by swirling gas clouds and shattered planets. Ahead, the Last Fortress loomed, a massive fortress built into an asteroid orbiting the star, guarded by deadly energy shields and fleets of Zarkath warships. Elias didn't hesitate. He activated the stealth device, cloaking the ship in invisible waves. The drone drifted silently toward the fortress's weakest point, a tiny, hidden airlock used for secret cargo. "Stay close," Elias whispered to Zalari and Varela as he prepared to land. The airlock opened with a hiss, revealing dark corridors, lit only by flickering red lights. Elias led the group inside, every sense alert. They moved like shadows through the halls, avoiding patrol drones and mechanical sentries. Suddenly, a patrol of Zarkath soldiers appeared, a head tall, armored, and merciless. Elias ducked behind a pillar and pulled out a small device, a noise jammer. He pressed a button. The soldiers froze. Confused by the silence, quickly, Elias and the group slipped past without being seen. The deeper they went, the colder the fortress became. The halls were lined with strange machines humming with power. The air smelled of oil and burning circuits. They reached the prison block where Queen Varela had once been held. The room was empty, but it held clue scratches on the floor and faded bloodstains. Varela touched the wall, whispering, "They moved me." To the central chamber, Elias nodded. They headed toward the heart of the fortress, where the Zarkath kept their most important prisoners and secrets. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the fortress. A deep, mechanical voice echoed. "Intruders detected. Activate lockdown protocols." The doors slammed shut. Red lights flashed. "We've been trapped," Elias said grimly. Zalari's eyes glowed blue. "We can break the locks," she said. Using her telepathic powers, she reached out to the control panels, causing the locks to spark and fail. The doors slid open with a loud clang. They hurried into the central chamber. Inside, the room was huge, filled with alien technology and strange glowing crystals. In the middle, a large containment pod held a figure weak but alive. Ilias's heart pounded. It was General Drakethor, Zarketh commander, who led the invasion of HFY. He was their enemy, the source of much pain. But something was wrong. Drakethor's eyes opened slowly. He spoke, but not with anger. "I see you have found me." Elias raised his weapon cautiously. Drakethor smiled a cold, sharp smile. "You seek the Queen's daughter?" "Yes." Drakethor's voice dropped low. "She is not what you think." Elias stepped closer. "Explain." Drakethor's pod hissed as it powered down. "I was captured during a failed attack," he said. "The Queen's people imprisoned me here." "Why are you telling me this?" Elias asked suspiciously. "Because there is a threat worse than me," Drakethor said. "A force from beyond the stars, one that will destroy us all if we do not unite." Elias frowned. "Why should I trust a Zarketh?" "Because I want the same thing," Drakethor said. "To protect what remains of our worlds." Virella stirred weakly. "If there is hope, we must hear it," she said. Elias lowered his weapon. Drakethor continued. "The Zarketh invasion was only the beginning. The real danger is coming." Suddenly, the fortress shook violently. Lights flickered. Zelari grabbed Ilias's arm. "The star is collapsing faster than we thought," she said. "We must leave," Ilias said urgently. Drakethor nodded. "I will help you escape." Elias hesitated but saw no choice. Together, they raced through the fortress. Fighting off guards and drones, Drakethor used his knowledge of the base to guide them. At the last moment, Elias triggered the self-destruct sequence of the fortress. They barely escaped in the drone ship as the fortress exploded behind them, in the safety of open space. Virella looked at Elias. "You kept your promise," she said softly. "And now?" Ilias replied, "We prepare for what comes next." Zelari smiled. Together, the human soldier and the alien royals began a new fight, one not just for survival, but for the future of the galaxy. The stars shimmered as the small fleet moved through space. Among the ships was the Galactic Alliance cruiser Dawnfire, carrying Queen Virella, Princess Zelari, and Sergeant Elias Cross. Word had spread quickly. The Tarian royal family was alive. Again, refugees and survivors from Taria had gathered, their hopes lifted by the promise of a new beginning. Inside the Dawnfire, Queen Virella sat in a special chamber, her silver wings folded, but glowing softly. Her body was still weak, but her spirit burned bright. She looked at Zelari, who stood beside her young princess, no longer afraid, her eyes full of determination. Elias watched them both quietly, but feeling the weight of his promise like a stone. In his heart, the cruiser's captain entered the room. "Your Majesty, the Council of the Galactic Alliance requests your presence. They want to meet you." Virella nodded. "I am ready." The meeting was tense. Alien ambassadors from many species crowded the chamber. They spoke in careful tones, their faces filled with respect, curiosity, and a hint of doubt. Virella stood tall. "My people have suffered greatly. We need your help to rebuild, to defend ourselves." One ambassador asked, "What makes you think the Alliance can protect you?" Virella smiled faintly. "Because we have a soldier who kept his promise." Elias stood beside her. The room fell silent. News of Elias's courage spread fast. Humans who had once been seen as outsiders were now heroes. They had saved a kingdom. In the following days, Elias trained with the new Tarian guards, sharing human tactics and teaching them how to fight differently. Zelari grew stronger too. Under the Queen's guidance and Elias's protection, she began learning how to use her telepathic powers to help her people heal. But the threat was not gone. From the shadows, the Zarketh Dominion gathered their forces for a final strike. Elias knew this battle would decide the future of the galaxy. When the attack came, it was fierce. The skies above Taria lit with fire and smoke. Elias fought at the front, leading mixed squads of humans and Tarians. Zelari used her powers to shield the wounded and rally the soldiers. Queen Varela directed the defense from her command center. The fight lasted for days. Many lives were lost, but Elias's courage and the bond between humans and Terrians turned the tide. The Zarkith were pushed back, their war machines destroyed or retreating after the victory. The people of Tieria gathered to celebrate. Queen Varela gave Elias the highest honor, a crystal medal that shone like the stars. "You saved my daughter. You've saved my people," she said. Elias felt tears sting his eyes. "I only kept my promise," he said softly. Zalari stood beside him. "Thank you," she said, "for believing in me, for never giving up." Elias smiled. "This is just the beginning," he said. "Together we will protect your world." The galaxy was watching. A new alliance had been born, one of trust, courage, and hope. And it all started with a promise made in fire.